Let's dive in. I get asked all the time, Michael, after 1,500 renovations, what is the best way to do materials whenever you're doing your investment property that's flip or burr or whatever it is? If you're buying a property that needs renovated, you're dealing with contractors and you're dealing with materials. After 1,500 renovations, I'm going to show you exactly how I do materials. It's not the only way to do it. There's multiple ways. So I'm going to show you multiple ways you can order materials for a project and different ways to handle it. All of them work. Some come with more risk. Some you save a lot more money on. Sometimes some of them there's more hands-on. Either way, they all work. So you just got to decide what works best for you in your situation. Pick one and go with it. Just be really clear whenever you start the renovation with your contractor. So let's dive in. How to master materials, ordering for your rehabs. Just real quick, if you don't know me, if you're watching this on YouTube, then you might not know me. So my name is Michael Mitchell. I have done over 100 burrs in 3 years and flipped a bunch of properties, wholesaled a bunch of properties. I'm not a wholesaler. It's just something we got into for a little bit, but kind of dabbled in that for a little bit. I was featured on the HGTV network whenever I was a contractor. I was a general contractor for years. I became a general contractor so I could learn how to do renovations, so I could become a real estate investor. And then now I have spent the last couple of years helping other real estate investors operate their business to be more profitable, more streamlined, and built systems that I am sharing one of them with you today. But obviously, if you're in our school community, you know who I am, and so that was just a repeat. So thank you for being here today. Let's dive into this. Most investors do not know how to handle materials. They overthink it, right? I mean, there's a few ways to do it. So let's talk about some important things you should know first. Contractors will mark up materials 15 to 200%. And they're not doing that because they're greedy. Sometimes they are, but not always. One thing I want you guys to understand about me too is I don't just pick sides. I don't say all investors are bad, all investors are good, all contractors are bad, all contractors are good. I see through both sides because I am a general contractor and I am a real estate investor, and I can see where the line is being missed by both parties. So, what you're going to see and hear from me in all my training is I'm not one sided. I do not put down contractors, I build contractors up, and I do not put down investors, I build investors up. And I build systems so they have good working relationships. That's my whole goal in life is to make it more successful for everybody. So everybody makes money, everybody wins. So when I say contractors are marking up 15 to 200%, the reason why they're doing that is most of them because it's because they don't have the systems yet to really understand every component of the materials. So they look at a vanity, say it's $200. They will double the price of the vanity and then charge you 400, but that will include the caulking, the nails, the drains, the fittings, demoing like out the old box and assembling, putting together, whatever it is. They will double that price to cover their cost, right? It's just simple math. I mean, just simple business. It's cost of doing business. It's not a big deal. So they're not getting one over on you. If you see material cost $400 and you're like, well, I can get a vanity for $200. Well, you got to include the other little details. It is a very sloppy system, and you're paying the price for it. We're going to talk more about this later. Stay with me. Timeline chaos, wrong materials being ordered. If the contractor's in charge, there's times where you want maybe black faucets and they go get gold faucets. You're like, I didn't want black. I wanted black and you got gold. It's a problem. So now they got to take the material off, return it. Like it just causes problems, especially in your timeline when you're trying to get things done. So material errors. There's no material control. There's no margin control, right? So your profit walks out the door with the contractor's truck. So what I'm getting at here is whenever you don't have a system for this, there is going to be materials that walk off the job site. It's kind of one of those things again, it's a cost of doing business. Now, there comes a point where it's past cost of doing business. And we're going to talk about how to mitigate some of those issues here on some of these next slides. But You want to have material control. Or sorry, there's no material control, there's no margin control, and you, I don't even know if you would know if there was some material walking off the job site, and some of those contractors know that. But anyways, these are some dangers of materials, and this is probably why most investors question how to do it. And you've thought of these things, and it's definitely ran through your mind. So let's clean this up here, right? So, truth about contractors and materials. Contractors prefer that you order and pay for the material. Let me say it a little bit different. Most contractors prefer that you order the materials, order and pay for the materials. Most contractors do, because materials change in pricing all the time. If there's anything going on, prices go up, they go down. It's so hard to calculate. So if you're hiring the two men in the pickup truck, dude, they don't want to figure out the material. They just want you to pay for it. They're excellent builders, and they just want to show up to the job site and work, right? Now, there is a few specialty contractors that will buy their own materials, and you want them to buy their own materials. Roofing. I've definitely hired roofers where they had me pay for the materials to the job site. It works, but then I end up finding another roofer who's charged the same price as the other guy, and I don't have to do any of that. So there's there's both sides of the roofer, but you can find a roofer that's a good price, and they just take care of everything. HVAC, they bring in their own furnace and AC, what air handlers, whatever it is. They're usually, a full system price. Come in, drop it off, and it makes life easier. Plumbing, electrical, same with the countertops, framers, concrete, gutters, and flooring. So if you're part of my school community, you know about my hybrid model, how we run with contractors, how we go direct to some contractors, and then we hire out with some other contracts. Again, if you're in the school community, then you know this. If you're not right now, it's free. I'm not sure how much longer it will be free, but even when it's a paid service, it is still going to be worth it, because we teach you how to save thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, which you're going to get a lot of value just out of this right here. So if you know my hybrid system, then you know how we're operating with some of these contractors and stuff here. Because like flooring, if you hire a flooring contractor and you give them a budget, they will just show you samples, and it's all included in one price. That's a pretty sweet deal. But if you're doing a hybrid system and your guys are actually doing the flooring, then you will have your own samples and your own pricing that you'll provide. But either way, there's point is there's a few specialty trades here that will buy their own materials, and this is pretty much the list here. Every other trade outside of these here is you will be buying materials for, or your contractors will be buying materials for. But as we said here at the bottom, let contractors handle it. If you let contractors handle that, I'm going to say again, if you let contractors handle it, you will pay the convenience premium, right? Materials marked up 15 to 200%. You're going to argue the design, because if, say, you want a specific LVP, and the contractor, whenever he worked the materials up, he thought you'd want cheap, $1 a square foot, and you were actually thinking a $2 square foot LVP, you're going to argue, right? Because he didn't bid the $2, he bid the $1. So there's gonna be some conflict there. You guys are gonna have to either cough up more money or go with a cheaper material, right? So just causes some issues. There's delays when the items are, when you buy the wrong items. So they just go out and get something because they just kind of assume this is what you're gonna want, and then you get it and you realize you don't like it at all. You gotta take it off and redo it. It's a big pain, and it's gonna cause some headaches. And hell, the contractor might even just walk off the job site, which is even worse. That's an extreme, but it can happen. No cost, transparency, everything just a rounded up number. And if they end up getting a better deal on it, do you think they're passing the savings on to you? No, absolutely not. They're going to keep it. Maybe a couple contractors. I'm not going to throw them all under the bus, but for the most part, if they go out and hustle it and get a better price, they're not going to. They're not going to bring it down. They're just not. So when you control the materials, minus the specialty trades, right? Keep that in mind. You keep the profit, right? You get exact finish specs you choose. So the materials, like as you're going through the project and you got your scope of work and stuff built out, it doesn't matter if that's $100 light or $1,000 light. You know your budget, you're tracking your numbers, you can pick whatever you want to pick. So there's no confusion with the contractor. Contractor bid a $20 light and you're now picking a $100 light. There's no change order. So you kind of know right there in real time, like once you build up your material list, you can build out your own budget. Maybe you factored in $1,500 for some finished materials, and a couple of the lights you ended up buying were a little bit more expensive. Well, you can either downgrade some of the other lights, or you can just increase your budget. But either way, it's coming out of your pocket, not the contractors. Just makes it so much easier, right? You get more store selections. You can now buy from a wider range of stores because you don't have your contractor running around town, trying to find that, and it's so much better. Items may go missing when you buy the materials. Definitely the cost of doing business, just what it is. If there is a half a tube of caulking, they take it with them. Who cares? Half a bucket of paint, and they end up taking it with them. Doesn't really matter. There's some miscellaneous pieces that they end up, walking off with. I promise you, it is still a better deal than them buying the materials and marketing it up 200%. You're still saving money, and plus that stuff you're probably going to throw away anyways. So it's a win-win. So the four common ways to order materials: got the phone cell. Listen, it's easy. Problem is inconvenient hours unless you set the rules. But sometimes when you're an investor and you want to keep things moving, guys might say, "Hey, Saturday at 8 a.m., can you take a phone call?" It's your business. Make a decision. Like if you're up and you want to take the call, you can. Sometimes the guys will forget to text you and say that they're going to Home Depot or Lowe's or wherever, and they'll call you right in the middle of something. It's a little frustrating, but it's also kind of part of the process. But here you're paying for the materials, and if you're in the school community, you watch the modules and you see like how we set up milestones and pay the contractors. Well, with those milestones, the way we pay contractors only works if you're doing number one with the phone sale. So if you haven't watched that, go watch it. All the information's there. If you're not part of the school, it's free. Go join, and we'll let you in. Number two, the hybrid approach, right? You got design control, but it requires more time. You order the finished materials yourself, and the contractor does a phone sell for the rough materials. So in this case, you're probably more likely doing a higher end turn, like whether a flip, maybe Burr and Airbnb, something. So in this case, you're going to actually sit at the computer, and the finished materials you will buy. So based off your scope of work, if it's detailed like what we teach in the school community, then you will pull that out of the scope and order the finished materials, whatever store you want, whatever finish you want. Just make sure it got a theme, and then your contractor gets everything else. I like this approach. It's very, very, very powerful. If we're doing a low end burr, then we'll just do number one. Go to Home Depot. You take care of everything. The cheapest lights, cheaper flooring. Like, go do it. And it's pretty simple. For our higher end stuff, like what we're doing flips and stuff right now, we're doing a hybrid approach. We buy the finished type material. Contractor goes in and takes care of all the rough materials. We're still paying for it through a phone cell, but it's just a hybrid system. Some people will call the hybrid system where the contractor buys the rough materials and then the investor buys the finished materials. Yes, but again, I don't like that type of the hybrid approach. So depending on who you are and how you're trained, who you learn from, you might disagree with me on how the hybrid works. So it can be both approaches, right? Again, I prefer to always buy the material. One, I'm getting the credit card points, I'm getting the kickbacks at Home Depot, and I can see what they're buying in real time. The trainings in school community. Check it out. So three, hands off. This is the premium, baby. This is where you are paying top dollar for everything. Mr. Contractor, top to bottom, labor, material. I want you to give it to me all. And I want to know what that total price is, and we're gonna move with it. Now you are paying a premium on the labor and the material all the way across the board. Again, this is why I like the hybrid approach, because you get better margins. So this is the most expensive route, but there's no effort on your part. Once you start the rehab, that's it. Now, don't you can still definitely have change orders and extra costs that show up right here. because again, if you go to them and they picked a dollar square foot of something and you go, it's like, oh, I actually want this, and it's $2 a square foot, your cost just went up anyways. So you might as well try to save costs where you can in a way that's ethical and it makes sense for everybody and fair for everybody. Just do the hybrid approach. And if you end up spending more money, the money that you're saving from the hands off makes up the difference. It's a win-win. So then there's also the cost plus trip charge. It's harder to manage because you're now calculating, they're going to go spend their own money, get the receipts, and then charge a trip charge. So every Friday, they're going to say, here's the 3, 4, 5 receipts. You're going to add up the cost, and then you're paying labor, some labor charge just for their time of going. This is transparent, but it's harder to manage. And if they take back anything, they're probably not going to give you the refund. Some will, not all. There is good contractors that will say, hey, I got a refund for a couple $100. They put it on a gift card. I'll just use it on the next swipe, right? Totally cool. But again, it's one of those things. It's harder to manage, but it's a way you can do it. So the ScopeFirst Preferred Method. This is a sweet spot between controlling costs and keeping the project moving fast, right? So you got rough materials on account, and you can do this in stages. So if you're following the ScopeFirst system, then the stages or the milestones in the order we take a project, nothing is ahead of the other one. Everything's in a very sequential order. So if we're in demo and framing, we should not be buying stuff for paint yet, right? So you buy everything in sequential order in the stages that it needs to be in. So this is way better material control because you're following your scope. You control all the finished materials. This is so important. And the hardest is the first round or two when you're doing this. And then you start getting into systems and then you start duplicating things. If you're doing burr, you just duplicate over and over and over and over again and just get better as you go. If you're doing flips, then you're pulling comparable comps and you're doing finishes that make sense that will attract to that buyer per that zip code, because all zip codes and people are just a little bit different in a good way. So materials for flips are a little more, but for burrs, you just rinse and repeat, for rentals and whatnot. So I have some non-negotiables that I'm always ordering myself, which is windows and appliances, and I always get them delivered because windows can break easy and appliances are heavy. They're just non-negotiables. If there's windows we're replacing, then I order and ship them. Same thing with appliances. So the foundation, your scope of work, is so important. You have a scope of work. Your contractor's estimate is not a scope of work. That's two different things. As you got a scope that details the work that's being completed, and then you have the estimate that puts the numbers to that scope of work. Scope first, numbers second, negotiate the deal last, right? Contractor's estimate is not a scope of work. Quit calling it that, because that is why you're losing a lot of money on your renovations, getting screwed over by contractors for sure. Without a scope, like, how do you know what finished materials to order? How does the contractor know what to put on your account? Vague scopes, vague bids, blown budgets almost every time. 78% of people go over budget every single year. And it's because they're calling their contractor's estimate a scope of work. You're guessing at every stage of the project. It's not even a pro. Like, there's no processes, no systems to that at all. It's very dangerous. You want to do scope first. You want to have a scope first. You know exactly how many vannies to order before the demo even starts. You know the flooring type, quantity decided on walkthrough day. You already know these things because you built the scope. The scope details the work of what's going to be done to get it to the finish line. Fixture specs, so ordering is instant. So much easier. Contractors, they know what to expect. They're all on the same page. There's no like, oh, I figured you're doing carpet. No. I wanted LVP this whole time. Well, that's going to be more money. That conversation sucks when you already had a budget that you already figured out. You already negotiated the price of the house, and now your rehab is jumping thousands of dollars. When that number starts jumping, it's an emotional thing that's going on because you feel your profits shrinking. That's a problem. You want a scope first. Stop paying the convenience premium. This is everything we just went over. Screenshot it, look at it, whatever you want. Again, if you're not in the school community and learning this stuff, we're teaching it for free right now. Even if it's charged by the time you come and actually see this, by the time you see this, we're actually charging for it. It is still saving you thousands of dollars. Hopefully, you got some value from this. let me know. Come join me in the school community and let me know if you got some value. But here's the school community right here, school.com/scope first. This is our inner circle. And if you're watching us in our school community, sorry to repeat this, you can just click off now. Just leave a comment below. Let me know if you got some value. But if you're not a part of our school community yet, I'd quickly come join this while it is still free right now. So hope you got some value from that. And let me know. Let me know your thoughts. Drop it below. Thank you.